morning. Welcome back to the show. It's greatly appreciated to have you stop by. We're going to be talking about some fantastic stuff that's happened in the week. So let's just sort of crack on, give you a bit of a taste of what's happening. So we've got a bit of news about Santa Monica in the USA are going to be basically launching a Bitcoin office. Great news. We'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Also, a bit of information I found, a great editorial piece on LinkedIn talking about the time, energy, and productivity of Bitcoin, and a really good sort of analogy about why Bitcoin's so fantastic, pretty much. Again, I'll go through that in a sec. Also, we're looking at how Bitcoin rebounds on increased institutional investment or interest along the way. We're also going to be looking at Goldman Sachs really sort of dipping their toe into three use cases of RWAs, so real world assets. So keep till the end of the video. Please like, share, and comment along the way. It'll be great to get your feedback. Without further ado, let's do it. Really good to have you. Appreciate you stopping by. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and comment along the way. If you're an old user and you've come back, may I just thank you again for stopping by and supporting the channel. It's greatly appreciated. So as I mentioned on the opener there, we've got some really interesting news happening out there. It's been kind of, interesting ride for Bitcoin this week. I'm going to go through some bits of editorial to kind of temper your taste buds, should we say. It got my mind infused this week of what's happening out there. So I looked at this piece of editorial that came out from Bitcoin magazine. It's talking about how Santa Monica, are looking at replicating pretty much what El Salvador have done. So it says here, City of Santa Monica is making history by opening the first Bitcoin office. I mean, if that's not cool, what is? If Santa Monica in the US is, starting to replicate what El Salvador have done, surely that's a good thing for the Bitcoin industry and for the Bitcoiners like us. It says City Council unanimously voted to pilot the office in partnership with a non-profit proof of workforce at no cost to the city. Also, they mentioned further down here, the office has 4 key goals as per the PR that was sent to the Bitcoin magazine: providing Bitcoin education, facilitating partnerships and conferences to grow tourism, which is awesome, connecting residents to jobs, and exploring sustainable Bitcoin mining powered by the city's renewable energy. And I just think this is awesome. I mean, you're looking at, places like El Salvador that were kind of obviously on the map for us and Bitcoiners and the Bitcoin industry, but actually seeing it go across to America or North America, I think is pretty cool, right? It's shown that the local mayor, which was, I think it's Mayor Lana Negretti, he mentioned actually champion the initiative, and he said, I quote, "As we embark on a journey to learn Bitcoin in Santa Monica, I'm excited to see the following ideas. Bitcoin is for everyone." So just highlight on that a bit. Bitcoin is for everyone. So this is the local mayor in Santa Monica. So I just feel it's just great. We're getting all this news. It's fantastic. Things are moving faster. There's more adoption happening. And we'll talk a little bit more about further adoption in terms of institutional investment in a bit. But I wanted to share this because I just thought it's so cool. They then lead on to mention about Santa Monica is following the model of El Salvador, which became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender in 2021. And since then, El Salvador opened up Bitcoin office and attracted significant investment and tourism related to Bitcoin. So again, it just goes to show that, yes, the mayor is interested in Santa Monica into Bitcoin, happy days, but also significant investments coming into that area to support that. So they're going to open up an office locally in Santa Monica. No doubt they're going to build some infrastructure around that. There will probably be mining facilities to support the network in that area, but really cool. Some other recent Bitcoin developments in Santa Monica include the firefighters. And I found this really interesting, how firefighters are adopting self-custody of Bitcoin, and cities leading visiting El Salvador to study its Bitcoin adoption firsthand. So it is amazing. I mean, it just makes you realize, actually, these guys are actually coming to the party. They're realizing this is a good thing for the area, and they're going to look at exploring different options. And I think what's really interesting about that piece is if Santa Monica, a really sort of key area in the States, is coming and waking up to the fact of Bitcoin, then does that ask the question that other areas are just going to follow suit around the world? We've already seen it with government institutions starting to pile in. We've had a few issues, obviously, this week and last week with the German government liquidizing coins that were, I mentioned this in a previous video as well, if you haven't heard about this already, and that is obviously illicit assets that were kind of bought in with Bitcoin. Government in Germany seized them and then obviously had to get rid of them recently, which caused a big issue and spike in the Bitcoin price. So yeah, really interesting to see what's going on. And kind of while talking about that, I saw this editorial piece, which I thought was really cool. I thought I had to kind of share it with you guys. It's kind of talking about, I can just share my screen here, bear with me, I can bring it up. There we go. Basically, what this kind of talks about, and it was a guy his name is basically Adrian Cecina. He talks about Bitcoin and gives a really good analogy here. I'm going to read it to you because it kind of struck a chord in my mind, and it's these kind of pieces of editorial that I read and go, actually, yeah, that's a really good way to articulate Bitcoin. So let's have a quick read of what he wrote. He's the head analyst basically at Blockware, just so you all know. If you store wealth in equities, you are trusting CEOs and executives to remain competitive in a rapidly changing society. And it just goes to show, you're just basically gambling, even with stocks and shares. You're just really led by the CEO who's running the company, essentially. If they don't perform or something seriously happens within that business, the stocks and the actual shares will drop, the share price. He says, if you store wealth in treasuries, you are trusting the government to not debase the currency. If you store wealth in gold, you are trusting gold miners to not mine more gold if its price increases. He then says, if you store wealth in real estate, you are trusting the government to not extort you via property tax and for the nature to not deteriorate your property. And for me, that's quite a big thing. I'm a property investor. I've got a portfolio, and it's almost becoming completely government run. Over the years, it's becoming less attractive for investors, certainly in the UK market anyway, to kind of put your money into property. Whilst it's still got some good options on the table to make money, there's a lot of tax regulations, and it kind of pushes investors out of the market. Especially we've got a new government over here in the UK, and that just came in from the elections that you probably heard about. Labour are now in, and that's probably going to be more against landlords making money, essentially. So he then kind of enters on to saying, if you store wealth in Bitcoin, you are trusting that an unaltered math equation will yield the same answer every time. That blew my mind. It's like, yes, he's got this. Each of the legacy asset classes contain a monetary savings premium, extra market value due to the asset being demanded as a store of wealth rather than just for its utility. Now that Bitcoin exists as a savings mechanism free from aforementioned counterparty risks, the savings premium of other asset classes will continue to be absorbed over time. When this process is complete, I estimate that Bitcoin will have a purchasing power equivalent to 22 or to nearly 23 trillion. And if you look at the chart that he's put there, really interesting. So try and follow that guy, Adrian Cecina. Like I said, he's head analyst at Blockware. Really, really interesting analogy that he put there about Bitcoin. So really, really, really cool to kind of get information like that. Also, we mentioned on the opener there about what's happening with Bitcoin recently. Obviously, we've seen a lot of rebounds happening out there. It's been a really choppy ride for those in the Bitcoin at the moment. I don't know what your stomach is feeling like. For me, it's fine. It's a bit of a regular activity. Post the halving, you've got a 20 to 30% drop. Kind of used to it. But, if you follow what the institutions are doing out there, you kind of get an idea of what's happening. I always ask the question, is the technology going to go anywhere? Blockchain? No, absolutely not. It's next to AI. It's up there on the pedestal. It's not going to be going anywhere. And people are still investing in a big way, right? So for me, it's like, do I trust the technology? Yes, great, I'm on it. and the roller coaster is just starting. But if you look at how Bitcoin's turbulence has been happening over the sort of last few weeks, it's always, they say, post the halving, which is obviously in April, normally 18 months afterwards, you start to see traction where you get those sort of parabolic sort of ups, essentially. So I've talked about this previously as well. And again, you look at other videos such as Raoul Pol, these guys are really talking about, it's probably sort of October time when we hit that sort of parabolic zone. I'm hoping so. It should be soon. But like I say, let's keep our eyes peeled for October. But do me a favor, leave some comments on that. What's your thoughts on that? What's Bitcoin activity acting like for you? What's your thoughts on Bitcoin? What's your price predictions? Give us a bit of comment. Let's get some dialogue going in there. So we talked about Goldman Sachs on the opener. So I looked at this. This was published by Banklist this week, and it talks about basically Goldman Sachs plans tokenized projects. Goldman Sachs global head of digital asset, Matthew McDermott, told Fortune that his firm wants to launch 3 different tokenized projects this year. The specifics on those offerings were not provided, but one is expected to cover the US fund sector, while another will target European debt markets. And they end by saying a tokenized asset marketplace is also set to be launched, which will increase trading speeds and the types of assets that can be used as collateral. So I thought that was really interesting. It just shows you that obviously real world assets are coming to the traditional finance industry. People are very, very interested in it from an institutional point of view. Banks, especially Goldman Sachs, have shown big interest there. And again, they're looking at releasing 3 tokenized projects under the real world asset label, if you like. So really, really interesting to kind of hear that. And what will be interesting to kind of hear as well is what's people's perceptions. I mentioned this earlier on. What are you thinking about Bitcoin at the moment? What are you thinking about Solana? What are you thinking about Ethereum? Give us your feedback. It'll be worth looking at, actually. Let's just bring up a quick Bitcoin price and see what's happening within the markets at the moment. Yeah, we're running at £45,000. Let's just do a quick share on this and show what's happening. Yeah, really interesting. So if you look at the last 7 days and what happened, it's just been so interesting. It's just been a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. But my conviction is still there. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. We have taken a significant drop, but we are going to be sort of rising. Hopefully we'll hit the £50,000 mark very soon. But again, give us your like, share and comments and let us know your feedback on Bitcoin and what's happening. Just a small bit of news this week about those points that I've raised. Again, like, share and comment. And most importantly, thanks for stopping by. Hope that gets a bit more information, educating you guys on what's happening within the markets. But I just put those 3 bits of news out there just to kind of get it out there because I find them extremely relevant. We're all on the learning curve at the moment to understand what's new, what's happening, and what's happening within the markets essentially. So thank you so much for stopping by. Please like, share and comment. And if you can, subscribe to the channel. Only sort of 4% of our viewers actually subscribe. I know there's a huge amount of competition out there. So if you would kindly subscribe to the channel, that would be amazing. In the midst of all of that, have a fantastic day and speak soon.